Emulating Glenn Beck's patented fusion of entertainment and enlightenment is Locksmith Charlie, who will answer all your questions about locks and keys, automotive security systems, and safe maintenance and servicing. He'll also discuss how you can avoid being scammed by unscrupulous tradespeople, people who are oftentimes referred to as ghosts or gypsies. Locksmith Charlie has 25 years experience and was recently sworn in as Southwest Director of Associated Locksmiths of America. And now, here's your host, Locksmith Charlie.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Locksmith Charlie Show. We're here with Andrew from Andrew's Lock and Key.
Hey, Charlie.
And Ryan, Andrew's assistant or protege.
Hello,
and
everybody.
Just to confuse everyone, we have Andrew Flores from AZ Tech Geeks with us to talk about technical stuff.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon.
Evening.
It's one of those days.
It is.
And all of us are only halfway here, believe me.
Dun, dun, dun. Sunday evening.
And the Cardinals won big time.
Yes, they did.
Told the Packers, nah, you can go home now.
Yep.
We creamed them.
Clinched the division and the first week bye of the playoffs.
Now the question is, what are the odds about Cardinals winning the Stupid Bowl?
I put my money on it.
High contender for sure.
Ryan?
I'm thinking of a dollar amount that I can place down against them to entice everybody to bet. That would, make
Ryan's going to go broke because he's going to lose.
I don't know.
I'll put a big dollar amount on that.
One of these days somebody's going to actually get me to understand how this whole plus and minus points thing works at Vegas or whatever. For me, I'm just, let me put down 10 or 20 bucks or something and hope they win. And if they don't, well, gee, haven't lost all that much, but
That's gambling.
Yeah, clearly. And it sure beats losing $100 or two at the poker table.
Yes, this is true.
So I understand that you've been in contact with our mutual acquaintance, Tom Lynch, the founder of the Society of Professional Locksmiths, and that we have Mr. Lynch joining us on the line. Tom, how you doing?
Yeah, pretty good, Charlie. Thanks for having me.
Well, I'm delighted. The only thing that so far has gone wrong about this whole mess is all I have here is ALOA PSAs, and I don't have any SoPL PSAs.
We have
We
one.
have one.
We got him one today.
Well, we managed to get one.
Yes, we
All righty
did.
then. We'll
We're
have
gonna
to throw
play
that
that.
on at the half hour or something.
Yes, it will be coming on.
Yeah,
Norm.
and I
Be coming up in the
think-
next 15 minutes, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, I think it's more of a jingle than a PSA. A lot of our PSAs can be found on our website, and also we've done a lot of PSAs via YouTube using video.
And the website is?
www.sopl.us.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Tom Lynch from Society of Professional Locksmiths, SoPL.us. So what's going on at SoPL these days? And, give me some updates. I haven't talked to you in a while.
Well, we're working on a couple of updates to try to, continue to shake and move within the industry and continue to reach out to the consumers. So we're going to be doing a couple of changes with the directory listing. Ours is pretty poor at the moment. We recognize that. And we're getting a lot of requests from consumers and consumer advocates for a better solution. So we are definitely working on that. Should be ready, I'd say, by the end of January. And we're also adding some more educational content for the locksmiths to improve, both their livelihoods and to, keep things fresh. I mean, why be mediocre?
I give up. Why?
Not at all.
Because, look, we're in an exciting trade. The state of the industry, in my view, is that it is vibrant. If it wasn't so vibrant, then there wouldn't be so many people out there that are trying to impinge upon the type of work that we do. So there is a lot of work out there, and you can't be mediocre. You have to be creative. You have to swim outside the fishbowl. I don't even like to use the phrase "think outside the box" because it seems to be mediocre. So yeah, there's my answer for you.
Well, I know how you feel, and there's sometimes I can't even find the box, let alone get in it or out of it.
Well, look, it's unfortunate. We have dinosaurs that are stuck in mud in our industry. And, there's a lot of things that need to be addressed, a lot of topics that need to be open for discussion. And, I think you guys have done a great job in trying to do that. AM radio broadcast is huge. I don't know if you're aware of it, but the first person to do that was a fellow by the name of Sal Shalizzi here in New York. Sal had a similar show just like yours where he interacted with the consumers, and it was great because he was able to give tips and tricks to the consumers to help them get more value for their money. And also to avoid, getting, bad actors to provide service to them. And we're seeing a lot of that more today than what was going on, 40, 50 years ago.
Well, we have such a huge problem in the locksmithing industry and a lot of service industries alone, but especially in ours that we know so much about. And it's a never-ending battle for the average locksmith to even stay on Google or have a ranking listing at all when all these other guys are coming on and changing the way that we're doing business. And a lot of the younger guys are seeing how that's working. We got to get some of the older guys up on the way that the new game works for advertising and getting new clientele, as well as helping the customers pick the right locksmiths. I think that is a responsibility for us to get the word out there as much as we can to friends and family and other business associates that we've done business with, and all of our clients. Most of mine, we leave them with a way of getting away to tell their friends and family not to get scammed. If they're in a different city, I had a little old lady tell us last week that she was going to tell her sisters how to get locksmiths in a different town just to make sure they had one, so they didn't get scammed out of money themselves.
Andy, the consumer is hungry for tips and advice. They're hungry for guidance. They want to hear from the good people, the good guys. It's been my experience every time I'm out there and I'm engaging with the human connection. Let's set aside the internet. These consumers, they're like wide open-eyed kids. They want to know what's going on. They don't like the idea that there's bad actors out there that will take advantage of them. So, yeah, I think what you guys are doing is pretty cool. I think that, as you know, I started Lock Radio many years ago, but that was more internet-based and geared towards the industry as well. But what you guys are on the cusp of is being able to reach into every living room out there and educate these consumers. And I think that they're hungry. So, my suggestion would be is start throwing more consumer tips at them. And start helping them to understand how to get more value for their money.
Absolutely.
So what consumer tips would you have in mind to tell them? I'm trying to work on one right now to get it up on the internet so that we can actually show people this thing that Andrew discovered tonight. But what tips can you offer?
Well, I know that we've kicked around quite a bit. It's been going around for a long time about the scammers. I hate to beat a dead horse, but the bottom line is that I'm seeing, and particularly when I've worked with some of the news sources, the consumer needs to remember caveat emptor. They hold all the cards. There's a magic phrase out there that they should all remember, and that's the word no. They can turn away a service. They can turn away someone if they have a gut feeling or they're not feeling right. When you deal with a good locksmith, the consumer walks away with a good feeling. When they're dealing with someone who's shady or shaky, they get a bad feeling. So, my advice to some of the consumers is ask the right questions. Look for the locksmith that will engage them with their questions to try to ascertain the best value, the alternatives, the best service for the client. And if they're not getting the answers or they're not getting the direct approach from a professional, hang up the phone. Tell them no. Turn them away. That's the number one thing that I would do. And I think it's common sense. Let's be realistic. When's the last time any consumer, including us, has ever received any type of service for $15, $19? Let's be realistic here.
Well, I
It
did get
doesn't
a
look
pizza
good.
the other day.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but you can get a burger, or in the state of Arizona, you can buy a pack of cigarettes for about $19.99 these days, at the
Well,
cost of let alone get somebody to show up at your residence or at your vehicle for that price to open it up would be
Well-
a really good day if you had somebody that they were happened to be next to you when it happened. The locksmith was
Well,
in the
we're-
parking lot, so we're up to a
Well,
break here. We're gonna have to let it come back after the break here, Tom. If you just give us a minute here, we'll be right back.
Independent Talk, 1100 KFNX.
Are you looking for creative solutions and a vibrant locksmith community that delivers tailored programs and benefits that impact your bottom line? Look no further. The Society of Professional Locksmiths offers valuable content to help you survive in today's marketplace. Easy online training, testing, certification, webinars, and the best discussion forums in the industry. Learn about the latest and greatest in products, services, and special offers that save you money and increase your earning potential today. The Society of Professional Locksmiths pick the winners and follow the trends that matter to you, and we do it for less. Compare our forward-thinking programs and membership, and you will agree the Society of Professional Locksmiths offers more value for your membership dollar. What makes the Society of Professional Locksmiths different? We cost less and deliver more. Join the Society of Professional Locksmiths today at SoPL.us.
Log on and listen live. 1100KFNX.com.
Welcome back to the Locksmith Charlie Show. We have with us Tom Lynch from the Society of Professional Locksmiths. And I did, in the last couple of minutes, manage to put together a crappy little web page. If you go to locksmithcharlie.com/kfnx/scam.html, it will show a couple examples of what we were talking about. Andrew found a website called 247locksmiths.us, and I'm on there. Andrew is on there. Many, I think when I put Phoenix in, it was something like 487 listings were on there. And while it does show my name, my address, my phone number, it also has a big button on there, click to call now, going to a toll-free phone number that doesn't belong to me, doesn't belong to Andrew, and is rerouting people to the call centers for some of the criminal scammers. Tom, what do you think we can do about something like that?
Well, the problem there, Charlie, is it's pervasive. The internet is, and the search engines, in my opinion, for the consumer, is that they're not to be trusted. They're not a trusted source to find a good service. Now, some of the good guys out there, Andrew included and others, might disagree with me because they're good guys and they are on the internet. But, for me, to answer your question, what can we do about it? Well, some of the things that we do at the SoPL is we examine these websites. We will crawl all over it. We will identify certain things about it and do our best in exposing it or sharing it, whether it be in a blog article or even through the news media to try to get them to understand, or even law enforcement. Just recently I came across one site that has pictures of individuals claiming to be lifelong residents of their specific area. Well, there's a technique to take those pictures and run them through Google Images, and what we find out is that that's not actually the person. It's a photograph that's being sold on certain websites like iStock or certain things like that, and they happen to just be models. So, the only thing you can do, on what I can see, Charlie, is that you can keep track of this stuff and try to put as much pressure in exposure to these things like you're just doing right now. You know, they don't like the light shined on them. Bad people hide in darkness to do evil things.
Like the cockroaches.
That's true. That's a good analogy. But you know, the consumer, unfortunately, my recommendation, a tip to them, is to, when they do look at a website or if they do rely on the internet, that they look for things that are organic. That they actually look for an image of maybe Charlie or one of the other fellows there, that they're actually standing next to their vehicle or in front of their store, or they're standing with an actual customer that's real, someone local, someone that they can identify with. I mean, let's be realistic. We all want to take care of the service providers in our area. I want to know that the service provider, the plumber, the locksmith, the candlestick maker is the same guy that I see at the deli or at the baseball game at Little League. That's really what we prefer at the SoPL, is to push the idea of the human engagement, the human element.
Right.
I think it has more strength than Google ranking, especially if it's a bogus website.
Well, and that all intertwines as a whole. You will get better Google rankings if you have
Truth and
good
content.
content, if you have stuff that isn't repetitive over and over and over, that Google knows that they're using stock photos. Google knows. I mean, if you're using a Google way to search out that image and find that it's on 10 different other websites or 30 other websites, people start realizing that. But Google also realizes that. Now, yes, people can buy stock photos and use them, and lots of people do. There's lots of legit locksmiths that use the same few photos that I have on my website, too. But as we've been getting more and more into the new age, we've been changing it. You know, there is no reason that other locksmiths can't go out and make small ads, small little commercials, even with their iPhones or with anything, and prove that they're a real person. They're going to be the one coming over to shake your hand. They're going to be the one that's coming over to rekey your house. That, you know, the one that you talk to on the phone might be the same guy that comes over and does it most of the time. So it's, you know,
I think the bottom line is, Tom, that Andrew's trying to communicate is that you can't just go with one or the other. You need to focus on both the internet side and the personable side. You know, you need to have a strong internet presence, web presence. You know, you need to have a lot of reviews, a good website with solid content, unique pictures, YouTube videos, and then you need to be able to go to their house and shake their hand. And they need to be able to run into you at the ball game, like you were talking about. So it's not about one or the other. It's about both. And when you and you know, working for Andrew and helping him with a lot of the web stuff and writing the apprentice blog that I write on the website and stuff like that, I'm seeing it firsthand that when you start doing the web stuff and stay on top of it, your rank in Google climbs higher than the scammers, and then people run into you face to face and they go hand in hand. So it's really it's a double-pronged approach that you have to take. It seems like to me.
Well, that's a good point. And saying so, you know, we're in a new world now where everyone's got smartphones. Okay, and
Right.
and if a lot of these people are using the smartphones to find service, and this is Charlie, this is a consumer tip, and I really would like to stay focused on the consumer. We know that our locksmith peers are listening, and that's great. But you know, if you're using a smartphone to find a service, then that smartphone should be a tool for you, the consumer, when you're engaging a locksmith. Take a photograph of your door hardware. Take pictures and ask the locksmith that you call if you can send those pictures to him or her, so that they can give you a good scenario, worst scenario price quote or estimate over the phone. You'll get an estimate over the phone. You'll get the quote on site, but work with them. Now, I'll say, if you make that offer to a locksmith and he rejects it, hang up on them. If they're not willing to work with you to walk through a question and answer period to try to ascertain your best options and your prices, then there's a problem. So use that smartphone not just to find people, but also to engage the situation to get the best value that you can get.
Well, yeah, and we really do have to have the consumers be aware. Andrew, should I play this thing, you think?
Yeah, I think we could probably
right.
play that. Tom, take a listen to this. Is us not scamming a scammer, but us calling a scammer that is listed Charlie as his phone
Yeah,
number.
this is the phone number.
This is one of those phone calls that you kind of just described of how it went down.
This call may be recorded. Thank you for calling our locksmith service. It appears you are calling
I'm
from
sure
a
glad
location
they gave me
near
permission to
Phoenix,
record it.
Arizona. If
Yep.
this is correct, press 1. Otherwise, please enter the 5-digit zip code. Thanks. Your location has been verified.
Locksmith Services, can I have your zip code, please?
Trying to think up the old zip code for the shop.
85016. You're in Phoenix, Arizona. How can I help today?
Well, it seems that we may have lost the keys to the car. I've left it at my office building, and I'd like to see about maybe having somebody meet me over there later to make me a new car key.
Okay, no problem, man. We can do that. What kind of car is it?
It's a 2013 Chevy Malibu.
Malibu 2013. Okay, man, no problem. We can make you that key on the spot. Perfect. Now, ma'am, I would like to tell you the price for such kind of key. It's going to be a starting price of $120 to make you that key, ma'am. It needs to be programmed. It's a very high security one. It starts at $120. If there's going to be any price changes more than $120, we're going to tell you before we go ahead and do anything, so we can agree on the price on spot. First thing we do.
Well, why can't you just tell me what it's going to be right now? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, ma'am, yeah, it usually starts from $120. Now, if there's going to be any complications with that car, anything broken, anything extra, anything not good, the price could get more than that. But in case...
You see, and that's the thing I've been trying to tell consumers for years is when they start with this, well, it's going to start at and then and up, that's where the red flag should go off in their head, because whenever that technician comes out, it's going to be so much more complicated because, after all, the car has 4 tires and a spare tire under the back and an automatic transmission, which, of course, is very relevant to key making.
Exactly. And he started with 120. If you would have called us over the phone, that would have cost, from my company, that would have cost you $165. Nothing more, nothing less. Out the door.
Back in a moment.
Lock it in. Independent Talk. 1100 KFNX.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Locksmith Charlie Show, where we have 2 Andrews and a Ryan joining us in the studio. And Tom Lynch from Society of Professional Locksmiths on the line with us. What did you think about that phone call, Tom?
Well, I think you were pretty lucky. At least you got somebody who spoke pretty good English. In most cases, they want to get you right off the phone, and you can't understand their accent. But, you know, Charlie, one of the things that the consumer should look for, and I'm a big advocate on this, and I know some of my friends in the industry may not agree with me because they have some bad habits, but if you call someone a service, and I don't care what service it is, but particularly in our industry, if they don't answer, hey, this is Acme Safe and Lock or Safe Lock and Security, how can I help you? This is Tom speaking. Again, my suggestion is hang up. Anybody who answers the phone with service or locksmith, to me, that's not the kind of company I want to do business with. I want to know who I'm talking to.
Well,
I want to know. I want to know who I can go back to and ask for. It's that connection to the customer.
Exactly.
I'm more than happy, and I think all of you will agree with me. And I think the consumer should listen to this very closely. I don't know of any good locksmith in a crowd who's not jumping up and down with his hand in the air so that he can get recognized by the consumer, that they want to be known, that they want to be found. You know, everyone else that doesn't behave like that, to me, is kind of sketchy. So yeah, you're pretty lucky you had someone who at least spoke English. But the best case, worst case pricing scenario, every good locksmith out there has the skill sets and knows from experience what it would take to generate a key for a specific car and to program it. And yes, there are some anomalies that might interfere with programming, but for the most part, you can get good pricing, and that's where the consumer needs to press and ask questions. Let's assume it was even a lockout. The consumer should ask and challenge the service. Will you use non-destructive methods of entry?
Yeah, that's a big question to ask.
Absolutely.
Tom, that's one thing that's bothered me for a long time, and I'm wondering if maybe we could somehow find a lawyer and get a legal opinion on the subject. We all know that if you go on a lockout and there's a quick set doorknob and deadbolt on the front door, the easiest way to get into that is picking. And when these guys jump right straight to using an electric drill to destroy the lock simply because they want to sell them another one or because they don't know how to pick a quick set, can't that be construed as criminal vandalism?
Well, I don't know. I'm not an attorney.
I don't know if that would. I'll answer that one real quick too. I don't know if that would, because you're already calling them over there to do a job.
Well, I understand
and at that point,
that,
but you could always get a second opinion. Now, if they're forcing it on you, that might be a different story.
But as a standard, we all know that when we would go out somewhere, the first thing that we would do is try to pick the lock. If they're going to jump right to an electric drill without first even trying a lock pick, I mean, that shows me that they have reckless disregard for that customer's hardware.
And we should say this is on standard quick set.
Yeah, not the smart
lock,
key.
Not the smart key, but a pinned lock, which any locksmith should be able to pick right open very easily.
Yeah.
Well, you bring up a good point, Charlie, and we've all had some background in consulting with some of the news media on some of these things. I've recently been working with one, which I'm not going to reveal, but there's best industry practices, and some of it is things that you and I and others have learned as we've matured within the industry. Some of the good guys have passed it down to us. Obviously, when someone arrives on a scene for any type of a work, if they don't assess the job, if they don't walk around the property, whether it's commercial, whether it's residential, and look for alternative points of entry or vulnerabilities, I mean, the professional recognizes vulnerabilities, and they're not just there to gain access or to do something, very quickly. They're going to let the consumer know what they have found and try to make sure the consumer understands that they are vulnerable. And it's not just the fact that somebody can whip out a drill. I mean, obviously I could drive a service truck right through someone's front door if I wanted to get them in, but that's not the point. And the other side of that is, let me ask you all this, since the consumers are listening. I mean, locksmiths are more than willing to offer free security surveys.
Absolutely.
I mean, right now, yeah, I mean, and why are they not taking advantage of that? I mean, right now I could say to every listener out there, give your house the finger. I know it sounds odd, but if every consumer out in your area, I don't know what your broadcast range is, but I'm in New York, you're out in Arizona. If every resident that's listening stuck their finger in their deadbolt receiver hole in their frame, and their finger did not go all the way down to the joint of the tip of their finger to the joint, their house is not really secure because the bolt's not going all the way into the door frame. So these are the kind of things that the professionals will look for or recommend. So I suggest, Charlie, that maybe you tell your constituents out there to give the house the finger.
Well, that's an idea, but I understand what you're saying. Make sure the deadbolt goes in a complete inch that it sticks out the door. But the other problem is, in that regard, is the grade of the locks. There was one time I got home. I'd had a couple of drinks. I was a little annoyed that the gal decided to lock the deadbolt inside the secured apartment building. So I stuck my key in the doorknob and turned it, retracted the latch, and then I slammed the door with my shoulder. the Schlage B160 bolt just broke in half. There's deadbolt parts all over the floor, and it didn't hardly damage the frame at all. There's maybe a little crack in the door, but the deadbolt itself actually broke in half because it was a cheap piece of garbage, grade 3 residential only Home Depot special. So I think one of the things that has to be taken into consideration is the grade of the locks and the type. Of course, in New York, you know that a Fox Police lock is ideal, but a Jimmy Proof is, of course, much better than a deadbolt, even though they're not much used anymore.
Oh, no, they're used, Charlie. They're used.
Well, not out here.
Yeah, you don't see that much. Would you see that would be from a person from New York that had us specially install that on their door? And sometimes I look at them and go, that's going to put a lot of stuff on your door that you don't necessarily need in Arizona. So
yeah. And in terms of security, again, for your listeners, I would suggest that they explore the idea of door frame reinforcement. Home invasion, forced entry, it's on a rise. And as the economy goes south, and no offense, but as the economy goes sour, you're going to see a more of an increase. And look, you've got other issues down there along the border and other things. Door frame reinforcement is huge, and every consumer out there should be calling one of you guys, if not some of the others in your area, to do a home survey.
Well, and the one thing I want to bring up now that you've mentioned that is I've had many customers over the years asking me, can I install one of those little security chains so that they can open the door far enough to see somebody? And I'm like, I will not put those on because they're held onto a little thin piece of wood with a 1/2-inch screw. And once you open that door at all they have to do is kick the door or hit it with their shoulder or whatever, and they're in. They're right on top of you, and all that those little security chains give anybody is a false sense of security.
Mm-hmm. That being said, that's correct. There are some alternatives, though, that the consumer might want to explore or the locksmiths should be aware of. And that's where it comes back to identifying who is the pro and who is not. We're more familiar with specialty hardware. You're right. The bad guys are running to Lowe's, running to Home Depot, Menards, and they're buying the consumer expendable products. But you and I know the specialty hardware. There's products like Door Devil for door frame reinforcement. There's a company called Averset that has a very heavy door chain that's attached to a forensic trace alarm that sprays an ultraviolet mist onto any perp that tries to do a forced entry, and there's a strand of DNA in that spray so that there's definitive proof. So my point is that this is the difference between the professionals and those posing as professionals.
Well, there you go. I'm quite the big fan of the Jam Jacket myself. We do have to take another break here, so we'll be back in just a couple moments.
Independent Talk, 1100 KFNX.
Are you looking for creative solutions and a vibrant locksmith community that delivers tailored programs and benefits that impact your bottom line? Look no further. The Society of Professional Locksmiths offers valuable content to help you survive in today's marketplace. Easy online training, testing, certification, webinars, and the best discussion forums in the industry. Learn about the latest and greatest in products, services, and special offers that save you money and increase your earning potential today. The Society of Professional Locksmiths pick the winners and follow the trends that matter to you, and we do it for less. Compare our forward-thinking programs and membership, and you will agree the Society of Professional Locksmiths offers more value for your membership dollar. What makes the Society of Professional Locksmiths different? We cost less and deliver more. Join the Society of Professional Locksmiths today at SoPL.us.
Visit us online at 1100kfnx.com.
Welcome back to the Locksmith Charlie Show. We have Tom Lynch from Society of Professional Locksmiths in New York. Is there any news in the industry that I haven't heard of that we need to get at? Well, wait a minute. Before I ask that, if there's any consumers out there that want to call in and talk with Tom or any of us about any security issues, the call-in number is 602-277-5369 or 277-KFNX, and we'd love to entertain any questions that you all might have. But getting back to what I was saying, Tom, is there any news in the locksmith industry that you think we ought to be putting out?
As far as news, I think one of the things, not so much news, but I think it's an enlightenment opportunity, Charlie, to let the consumers know that the locksmith just doesn't do homes and deadbolts and, cut keys. You love it when people walk in and they see, 1,500 key blanks on your board and ask you, do you cut keys? We need to really let the consumer know that the locksmith does cameras. They do access control, home automation, this new trend in self-monitoring, or using the smartphone for everything from turning on lights to controlling your thermostat, as well as your security.
And changing the baby. And
oh, that would be so much easier, wouldn't it, if they could just change the babies?
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean...
Not the baby.
Yeah, so that's news. I mean, the news is that self-monitoring is now the new trend. The days of the monitoring stations are limited. The consumer has options now, and that's news.
Yes, I've seen a lot of that in advertising, and I haven't implemented a bunch of that myself. I do know that Andrew has told me that they're going to be doing a whole bunch of home automation stuff, and we're going to have some announcements on that in the very near future.
Yes, we are. We're going to be getting into what's called Control 4, which is a rather large company that's doing lots of home automation. We're going to be a dealer of their product.
So can I ask a question of your listeners, Charlie?
Absolutely.
I have a question. Is there anyone out there that is listening that's in need of security or safety or even a free home survey or business survey? I'm asking that because I want to challenge the industry, and I want to challenge the consumers to find someone that's in need and see what it's like to have a professional like Charlie, like an Andrew, or anyone else actually go and help them and show them the difference. And I know for a fact that there's people out there in need. There's people, everybody deserves security, even people in the lowest rung of the economic scale. And, I've done it. I know you guys have done it. You've gone out on domestic calls, and you do just as good a job there as you would do for someone else that has a lot of money. So, my question is there anybody listening that could use a hand? And if you're out there, call in. I know that, and I'm going to challenge you, Charlie, I'm going to challenge Andrew. I know you guys are good guys. If somebody really needed a hand, would you go out there?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, and there's been times where I've talked with like domestic violence places and told them, hey, if you have people that really need some help and can't afford it, that we can give them substantially discounted or sometimes free services. I mean, personally, when I'm driving around and I see somebody trying to get in a vehicle with a coat hanger or something, I'll oftentimes just stop, get out of the truck, open the car, and as I'm leaving, sometimes they'll offer me money, other times they won't. But It's not all the time all about the money. We're all here just by definition because we like to help people, because
we all want to provide service.
Yeah.
We want to provide excellent service. We want to provide excellent security service. We want to make sure everybody's secure and safe and able to do the things they need to do with that safety in mind.
Well, and there's one thing that I do, and I've done this numerous times over the years, and I put this out there. It's on my website. I don't know if it's on our Facebook right now, but it will be if it is not. I will open a car for free in my Phoenix metropolitan area if there's ever a animal and or a person or a child locked in the car. It doesn't matter what time of the day it is. I will come out there at no cost and open that vehicle.
I've put on my website, I want to say close to 10 years ago now, a suggestion that people engage their lawmakers in a dialogue to, we have enough technology now. If that car has a microphone on the inside and it can hear a baby crying when the car has been locked up and there's nobody else in the car, that car should, if it's like 110 degrees out and it's starting to get very hot in the car, that car should start itself up, turn on the air conditioner, start flashing the lights, blaring the horn, and do everything that car can do to get the attention of passersby. And even the same thing for an old person that's maybe having a heart attack or something. That car, or if it's the middle of winter in New York, that car should start up, start running, and start blaring the heater to keep that child alive instead of letting it freeze to death or boil to death. But, all the technology they're putting in these cars, nobody's even thinking about doing any of that.
No, I don't.
Charlie?
Yeah.
We've talked about a lot of things, and I think that's great, and that's really great for the consumer. And I want to throw a tip out there to the consumers before the end of the night. And, I want to say to them, hey, you can never be locked out of your house again if you contact a professional locksmith and you replace one door lock on your home, one of your exterior entry doors, with a push-button mechanical lock. Often they're called Shabbos locks for certain religious uses, but you won't be locked out, so you won't encounter a bad actor or one of these scammers that has been spoken about. Replace one lock, upgrade one door.
Or put a super key box on the outside with a spare key locked up in a tiny vault. I mean, that's, with a service call and labor, that's less than $100 to come out and permanently mount a super key box on your building so that you can have a door key to get in. That's not a big problem. In fact, I think we ought to be pushing that.
Well, again, this is a recommendation. I hope your listeners are taking advantage of this, and they're going to pick up the phone and call the local locksmiths that are good guys. They'll call you folks because you're the lead people out there, and hopefully it'll be helpful to the consumers. So,
well, one can hope. I got this show, I'm paying for it so that we can do consumer education and try to get people aware of the problems in the industry and the good things that we can do for them and how to avoid the bad people that are just simply out there to just take as much as they can from unsuspecting consumers. Have you looked at the locksmithpolice.com and the 3 on Your Side videos?
I have.
Yeah, this business of writing down one thing on a credit card slip and then going to your vehicle and coming back and having it being $230 more, that's just consumer fraud. And the more people that we can make aware of that, the better off we're going to be.
So, Charlie, can I give a shameless plug to follow up on that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, go on.
Listen, if the consumer goes to www.sopl.us and looks under the menu item under News, there's a drop down there and a selection called Locksmith Scam Alert. I suggest everybody clicks on that. It's the best public service announcement video that they're going to find on this whole issue. And, I want every locksmith out there that's listening to understand that the SoPL is an incubator. It's a hunch state where all ideas are considered and creative thinking is encouraged and supported. So we're looking out for you, and I'd like you to look out for us.
And that's what we're all here for. And I will be in contact with Tom some more here, and we will have Tom back on the show here very shortly. Thank you guys for listening to the Locksmith Charlie Show.